Well, I invited a special guest to see the show tonight. I went to Fordham University, and part of our orientation at Fordham, and I know along with the other New York City schools, is that we had to have an AIDS orientation. And Elaine Pasqua, who was clearly, she's been affected by AIDS. Both her mother and stepfather passed away from AIDS, and she made it her life's work to teach young people about this horrible, horrible disease. And I'm just going to have her say a few things.
Jimmy just mentioned how this play tells the truth, and I can't tell you how many memories came flooding back to me. My mom and stepdad contracted HIV. My stepfather was part of a clinical trial of a drug that they were developing back in the late 70s. It was made from human plasma. We didn't even know the virus was incubating in the population. He unknowingly contracted it and unknowingly passed it on to my mom. And we lived the same prejudices that the gay community went through. In fact, we went to the gay community first. We went to our gay friends when we found out that they were infected with this disease. And suddenly my mother felt the same discrimination that this community felt. But they embraced her, and they embraced our family. And they were the only ones that we could come to tell the truth, because they wanted to keep it a secret, because they were afraid that they would be shunned. And they were afraid that they would be treated differently. And I remember walking down the hospital hallways and going to the end of the hall where they stuck my stepfather as he was laying there with pneumocystis pneumonia, with that yellow and black hazard sign right next to the door. And we heard from the hospice nurse before he died, you better start funeral home shopping now, because you don't want to get stuck with the body. Or having to call the funeral homes and saying, would you please take my mother when she dies? She's dying of AIDS. Will you touch her body? So many of us have lived with this prejudice, and so many people in this audience are feeling this now. And the good thing about bringing this play forward is it brings this topic back up. I made this my life mission, to prevent people from going through the pain and the loss that twice touched my family. I don't want anybody to experience this. And the thing that is scaring me is that young people have become so complacent. I now speak at colleges all across the country. I work with some elementary school kids. They're fun. They're like, ooh, ooh. And I do some high schools. I spoke at 70 college campuses across the United States last year. And every single audience, I say to them, how many of you believe that HIV and AIDS will personally touch your lives? And you know what? Nobody's raising their hands. They're all sitting there with their arms crossed. We need to get the word out, and this play will do this. We need to keep talking to people. Because of the advances that we have seen with this disease, it's no longer the death sentence that it was. 1996, the protease inhibitor drugs came out, and it kills me because my mother missed them by 5 months. And, and I would do anything I could to get her back here today. But what we ended up doing is we're talking to these kids, but because of the advances, these students now believe, well, it's an unmanageable disease. We can live longer with this. It's like heart disease. It's like diabetes. We can take a pill and it will be fine. And what we need to start focusing on now, it's not the death. Even though 16,000 people in this country died last year, 56,300 people are getting newly infected every single year. And 50% of those cases are occurring in the 15 to 24-year-old age group. And what they don't understand, we had 8 years of abstinence-only federal mandate programming. The high schools are failing these students. The colleges are failing these students. Sometimes you will get somebody that's so moral, the moral minority is more vocal than the silent majority. And that one person will come into a school and they'll say, we're pissed because that lady talked about using latex devil dams during oral sex. I've lost a lot of contracts because I've had the guts to stand up there. If I offend 3 people in the audience, but I saved 10 lives, I had a good day. And we all need to teach people the facts that we know. And the scariest fact about HIV is that it incubates for 10 years. And that's why virologists call this the ultimate virus. Because the goal of a virus is to be able to want to pass itself from one person to another. So if a person doesn't get tested and they don't know what's in their body, they don't show the symptoms for 10 years. So they look good, they feel good, they have no idea they have it, and because of that we're lending ourselves many opportunities to pass this on from one person to another. So, I know the people that are living with this disease, and they all are long-term survivors, but they would do anything in the world to trade that one night they got too wasted and they put themselves in a vulnerable situation. Or the one night that they didn't have the courage to negotiate safe sex with the person who they were about to hook up with. Or the night that they just got so caught up in the moment that they couldn't stop and put a condom on. So we need to spread the word. We need to tell the stories. Each and every one of you in this audience has the power to make a difference in life and to save a life. And it's an incredibly powerful thing to do. So go out there and talk to as many people as you can, because we need to keep the word out there. Frank, thank you so much. And for all of you, I just have to say to you fine actors, I mean, the emotional energy that this play, I mean, just sitting there through this, and I can see it on the faces of everybody in the audience. How do you guys do this night after night of just, I can't imagine. You can see it on your faces as you were taking it out. We've been to so many Broadway shows, and usually it's happy, and this was solemn. And I applaud you. Thank you for doing this.